I promised you guys that I would weigh in on the loot box situation for Middle-earth Shadow of War once I had played it. I would talk about whether or not I felt the loot boxes ruined the game or indeed had no effect on the game. And I've played it and I'm ready to do that. Warning! This video contains opinions and may contain traces of actual useful information. For the sake of transparency, I need to point out that Warner Brothers actually sent me this game for free, and they sent me the Mithril edition, which is a $300 boxed edition that comes with a giant statue of a dragon rider fighting a Balrog. I even did an unboxing video. You can check that out. I'll leave a link down below. Bear that in mind when listening to my opinions of this game. I should also point out that I did not finish the game. I did 2 fortress battles and was working on my 3rd when I stopped playing. I've got about 30 to 40 play hours invested in it, so whilst my opinions reasonably informed on the early stages of the game, I can't tell you much about the later stages where apparently I'm hearing it gets even grindier, which to be honest is not a good sign, because the reason I stopped playing when I did was I just got bored. It's as simple as that. I just realised I was no longer having fun. I was doing the same thing over and over and over again, and I couldn't be bothered doing it anymore. And this is a real shame, because for the first, I don't know, maybe 20 hours of this game, I was really enjoying it. It's pretty much Shadow of Mordor with maybe a few new things, but overall it feels very similar. And I was probably heading towards coming back and saying, you know what, this game's fine. If you liked Shadow of Mordor, it's just more of that. The loot boxes have not affected it in the slightest. Go play the game, don't worry about it. And then I reached a certain point. It was shortly after I'd finished the first fortress battle, actually, where I just started to get bored. It went on too long. I just don't think this is a game that needs to go on and on and on and on. You play it for a while, you have fun, and then you move on. I would have liked to have got some closure. I would like to have seen the end of the game, but I certainly couldn't be bothered getting there. I just got no interest. And again, it's not because the core game is not good. It's almost the same as Shadow of Mordor. If you don't know anything about this game, I did a review for Shadow of Mordor. I'll leave a link down below. Go and watch that. Everything I said there is probably applicable to this game for the first 20 hours. So of course the question's going to be, well, was it loot boxes? Is that what caused this game to be boring, to be grindy? Did they make it grindy to encourage you to buy loot boxes? And I've got to say, I've no idea. Because if that was their intention, they failed. I had absolutely no inclination to buy the loot boxes. I spent 0 money on the loot boxes, and never once did I think, oh god, you know what, maybe just get a few loot boxes and get a little bit ahead, because it just, I don't even think it would work. I'm not completely sure why people would engage with the loot boxes, for one simple reason. I'm not totally sure it even saves time. Maybe a little bit here and there, but nothing major. You see, there are 2 types of loot boxes. The first one is a loot box that gives you stuff, loot, gives you swords, it gives you daggers, cloaks, and so on. And honestly, I don't see the point of buying them, because you get so many of them. I've junked so much loot, it's incredible. And even the legendaries, you get loads of legendaries. I don't understand why anybody would feel the need to get them via the loot boxes. I'm not even all that impressed with legendaries. You can see I'm not even wearing any at the moment, because honestly, whilst they are powerful, I prefer items that are very specific. So for example, this dagger curses every 32 seconds. So if I'm going after an orc that requires curse or is weak to curse, I'll use this. If he's weak to poison, I'll use a dagger that has poison on it. And that's all I do. I just tailor my gear to the fight I'm heading off to. And as I said, I rarely use legendary. So why would I think of going and buying a loot box? I've no idea. The second type of loot box is the ones that give you orcs. And again, not totally sure why you would feel the impulse to buy them. The thing is, not only does it feel weird getting orcs in boxes, I mean, getting an outfit in a box, getting a cool item that was a bit of a gift, a bit random, that might make some sense. But having 2 orcs pop out of a chest feels stupid to start. But I don't need them. I really do not need them. Now, the thing is, you do need orcs, okay? You do need to go off and recruit orcs. And so in theory, getting a box where you have 2 of them should save you the time you had to go and recruit them, right? The problem is, to put the orc on the field, you need a space for him. You need a space. So you need to go and kill the enemy orc that's in that space to start with. And very early on in the game, you do get the ability to recruit those orcs instead of killing them, and it takes approximately a second and a half longer than killing them. So for the most part, you can recruit pretty much most of the orcs you're going to need. Occasionally, one orc will just not be recruitable, and you'll have to kill him. But more orcs will fill his space if you want to just go and get the next one. If you really don't want to do that, or if what you've done is you've used your orcs to go off and kill an enemy orc, which you can do, you can send your boys off to kill enemy orcs and they will not recruit, they will kill, you may have a couple of slots free on the battlefield. And if you're a completionist, you may want to fill them. I say that because you don't actually need all of the spaces filled like I've got here. This is just something I did because I wanted to. If you are a completionist and you do want all of the orcs and you don't want to go through the process of recruiting them yourself, which again, like I said, doesn't take that much time, you can go, wrong one actually, excuse me, go to the market, you can buy the silver chests, and you can buy those without spending real money. There are 3 tiers, silver, gold and mithril. These cost real life money. These cost whatever those are. I've forgotten what the coins were. It costs those, and you will get so many coins. You will get so many coins you won't know what to do with them. I've bought, I think, 3 of these to help pad my ranks occasionally, and I've just got more money than I need. I don't think you're going to run out of money buying these loot boxes unless you're just buying orcs and shoving them off a cliff for giggles. You really won't lose too many orcs if you play smart. The thing is these boxes will give you guaranteed legendaries, and that's better, right? Well, it is, but it's not necessary. I really have not found legendary orcs to be that impressive. Firstly, they can still die, even if you do everything right. A random number generator can go against you and you can lose them, but more importantly, when you send your orcs off to fight or you're bringing them with you, you generally pick orcs that match the enemies you're going up against. So, you know, you don't send an orc that's weak to fire against an enemy that's going to use fire. You send an orc that's actually resistant to fire. And if you do that, you can usually win. Even if you're sending them against legendaries and it's a normal or a rare, if you pick your strengths accordingly, you'll probably win the fight. And seeing as I generally go along to most of the battles anyway because I like to see what's going on, and then I recruit the damned person they're trying to kill, usually, I've not found much need to buy these loot boxes. I mean, here I've got a space. I've got a space I could fill with a loot box orc if I want to. But I've just got no urge to do so. I really don't. I've got more than enough orcs currently. I've got no incentive to go there. I certainly don't care about legendaries. Now you might be thinking, well, what happens if I want to play like a general and send my orcs out to do all of the killing? Surely I'll have to use more loot boxes then. Well, this might be an issue in the later game, I don't know, and I'm never going to know. But in the earlier game, no, because you still need to level up. Your orcs are level capped at your level, and you want to raise your orcs level, so you need to gain levels. Ergo, you need to get out there and fight. Now, you can gain experience from doing quests, doing the collectibles, but those things are nowhere near as much fun as fighting orcs. So honestly, if that's how you're going to play, you're probably going to be bored 20 times faster than I was. You're almost certainly going to do a lot of orc fighting. Maybe at the end of the game, that will end. But at that point, I'm not seeing the point of progressing the game. I mean, if that's it, if you're bored of orc fighting, and I kind of did get bored of the orc fighting, the entire game seems sort of pointless. And thus, honestly, by the time I do start to need loot boxes to fill those spaces, it's probably going to be already too late. Well, it is already too late. I'm already bored. It feels like this system was shoehorned in there by people who did not even understand the game or the people that were going to play the game. Like, it was two different groups. One group made the game, another group came up with the loot box thing, and that group just did not know really why people played the game, what fun they got out of the game, but they insisted that this be put into the game, and maybe they insisted certain changes were made to the game, having no understanding of what those changes would do, thinking they would drive people to buy loot boxes. So even if I approved of loot boxes in a game like this, and I don't, these guys just completely epically failed. Which I suppose I should be glad of, but also just I'm a little kind of, I don't know, lost for words. I mean, in the end, that's what I got to say about loot boxes in Shadow of War is I just don't get it. I mean, I don't mean that I don't get greed. I understand greed. I get that. I just don't understand how anyone thought this would work. It just, I just don't get it. And you know what? If I'd got to the end of the game and suddenly the loot boxes did make sense, I could see why people might want to buy them and the whole thing fell into place, the fact that I just couldn't be bothered getting there is very telling. And I'm a fan of Shadow of Mordor, and when a fan of Shadow of Mordor plays Shadow of War, which in many ways feels like the same game, and just stops playing out of boredom, well, you've done something wrong anyway. And let's face it, even if the incentive to buy those loot boxes does get greater in the end game, if people don't get to the end game, that's kind of pointless. Now, I am sorry that this is not an informative review. I'm sorry if I'm wrong, because if I just played for another 10 hours, I would have seen the light and started to enjoy the game, or seen the light and realised why loot boxes were so important at the end of the game, but I can't be bothered. So there you have it.